Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest installment of the Azure Security Expert Series. I'm Ann Johnson, the Corporate Vice President of Security Compliance and Identity Business Development at Microsoft. And in this episode, Microsoft cybersecurity expert Sinead O'Donovan and I will show you how to strengthen your network security by taking a zero trust approach with Azure. Now, during the past year, we know the world has faced many challenges. Some of these we can't solve. However, I'm excited about the ones we actually can solve and the ones we could have a positive impact on. For example, to facilitate remote work and maintain business continuity, organizations are moving more of their applications to the cloud and they are delivering more SaaS experiences to their employees and to their customers. We know, however, that cyber criminals are also taking advantage of this shift. We have seen cyber criminals increase their DDoS attacks, their ransomware attacks, and their phishing campaigns. So, how do you, as a cybersecurity professional, help your organization facilitate remote work whilst also strengthening security, reliability, and performance? The first step is to examine your organization's security strategy and to adopt a zero trust philosophy and architecture. The starting point for zero trust, of course, is identity. With users accessing enterprise resources from various places using multiple devices, implementing multi factor authentication, conditional access, and passwordless are the great first steps you can take toward implementing a zero trust approach. Today, though, we are going to focus on another part of your zero trust architecture, and that is network security. We have been working with many customers to apply a zero trust approach to network security using cloud native network security services that are available in Azure. And we are really excited to show you some of these technologies today. So, with that, I would love to welcome Sinead O'Donovan, who is the Director of Product Management for Azure Network Security Services and Application Delivery. Thank you for joining me today, Sinead.
Yeah, thanks, Anne. I'm really excited to be here.
So, Sinead, you lead the innovation efforts around network security and application delivery within Azure. What does a zero trust approach to network security look like?
Well, I think it's very important to start with that magic word approach, because that's what zero trust is all about. It's an approach and a strategy. So it's not about one product. And it's really about how do you take a holistic approach to improving your security posture while improving the user experience and making users more productive. So when you dig in a little bit then into network security, it comes down to kind of three core areas. And the very first one is around segmentation. And segmentation is layered. It's almost a play on words in some ways. So you look at it from the user to the application. We really want that to be using the internet. And so sort of the internet is the new corporate network. But then you also want the application backend to be all private. So that's one form of segmentation. It's the user to app is internet and the application backend is all private connectivity. But there's another layer of segmentation that actually you apply to your actual infrastructure. And customers will often then segment based on classes of application. And then customers will also segment within the application by maybe doing a segment for the front end versus the back end versus the database. And so really within the app is another form of segmentation. And what you want to do with those segments is you need to have control points then of how traffic will flow between the different segmentations. And customers really need to assume that a breach is possible. And so they want to really have that segmentation so that they can prevent lateral movement. So that's the first kind of key element of in network security. The second one then is those control points that you have. It's really important to apply threat protection there. And that is to stop the attack or to really protect either the segment or the application, but you really need to to look at the threat protection and capabilities. And then the third really important element is looking at encryption holistically. And whether that be, how do you manage encryption within the app, how do you manage the certificate, how do you renew them, how do you ensure they're the latest, but it can also be how do you incorporate encryption into the infrastructure as well. So again, assume if a breach happens, how do you make sure that those attackers are not able to learn or discover anything because it's all encrypted. So that's how I would sort of say, hey, within network security, they're the kind of three foundations of zero trust for network security.
That's great, Sinead. So I'm going to sum this up because it's really insightful what you said. It's also simple for our customers and the folks watching to follow. You need an internal strategy around segmentation, encryption, and threat protection. And that's really what starts the zero trust approach to network security. Now, I know today we're also introducing a couple of exciting new offerings in Azure that's going to make rolling out and deploying these things easier for our customers, and they can use this to deploy their strategies. Let's talk about those, Sinead.
Yeah, we're super excited. Two great offerings we want to announce today. The first one is a newer version of Azure Front Door, and that it has all those kind of key elements that you need to enable your applications to be protected. And then the second one is a new SKU called Azure Firewall Premium that will extend your threat protection capabilities for your network.
That's great. Well, let's start our focus and talk about Azure Front Door and how we can apply the three key elements that you talked about for secure application delivery. I know a lot of our customers are focused on making sure all digital experiences are safe and secure, not just for their employees, but also for their customers. So, when it comes to secure application delivery, what are the key challenges our customers are facing?
I think, and the first really important challenge is the security of the application itself, especially when you look at applications that are on the internet. And the internet really is the Wild West. And you have to put a set of protections in place to block whether it's bots, phishing, data exfiltration attempts. So the very first kind of challenge that customers are struggling with, well, how do I protect my app? I need it to be on the internet. I need it to be accessible. So how do I protect it? So that's the very first one. And then the second one, and I think COVID really accelerated this, which is how do you think about the scalability of the app and how it can reach a global audience, and this is really foundational as you think about most applications are only deployed in one region often, and if you have a global audience, then how do you make it optimally available? And that leads me to the third kind of key point, which is really around the user experience. If the app has poor responsiveness, users will abandon it. Users will be frustrated with. Users won't use it to collaborate. So it's really important that you kind of think about not just applying really good security or making sure that it's always available, because if your app is down, then your business is down. But also that you've tuned it so that the users can have an excellent experience as well. So they're kind of the three major challenges that I think our IT leaders are facing.
So, Sinead, then can you walk us through how Microsoft is actually addressing these real customer challenges with our Azure Front Door solution?
Sure. I think the very first thing to realize about applications is that you really need an amazing network to deliver that great experience and to protect and to protect the applications. And Microsoft is one of the operators, one of the largest private dedicated CDN networks on the planet. And this came from a very rich history of operating both Bing and Office 365 and Xbox and our own properties and our large ecosystem around Azure. So we really have built our network to tune it for application performance. It's a network we completely manage end to end ourselves. We own multiple undersea cables. We completely manage this network, and it's completely software defined. So it starts there. And the network's goal is really, we want to be within 25 milliseconds of any large concentration of users on the planet. So it starts with front doors built on this amazing network network so that we can optimally reach users. So that's the very first thing. And then the second thing is we really wanted to create an integrated product, a product that integrated both delivery, which is the CDN technologies, and security into one integrated experience. So rather than it being something that you add on, we wanted it to be baked in. And so that's what we did with our new offering. We baked it in, it's completely integrated, it's integrated in the product experience, and it's also integrated in the billing model. And so we really wanted to focus on giving customers access to those protection capabilities that span DDoS, bot, and WAF. And we run one of the largest DDoS networks in the world as well. And we can protect attacks. Our network is 47 terabits per second, and we have one of the largest protection capabilities there. So that's the very first element of it. Another very nice feature is we support, it is a complete global load balancer. And so that's really important as customers sort of embrace multi-cloud, or even if they embrace hybrid, and where they want to run part of the application, say on-premise, and they want to run the rest in the cloud, and they want to load balance across those two environments. And then a kind of a third element of the product is we really took security actually to another level. I think we're the first cloud provider to support this concept of the internet, that the public internet is front end, and the back end can be all done private by our integration with Private Link. So this is a key unique feature no other provider has, so customers can embrace that zero trust model as they design their delivery approach. And then another really important part about the product is that it's all API driven. And so it's really important as customers, when they come to the cloud, they want greater agility. They want to embrace the DevOps model. And so so the fact that the service is completely designed and built for APIs is also really important. This service really brings together like those kind of foundational capabilities so that you can optimally deliver the application with great experience, and the security all integrated. So in essence, a kind of a secure cloud CDN that takes advantage of that amazing network that I talked about. So with that, a quick demo.
Thanks, Renee. I'm Jessie Jia, Senior Program Manager from Azure Front Door team. So in this demo, I will show you how simple it is to use the new Azure Front Door to quickly secure and accelerate a Contoso application built using app service that is not exposed to the internet. So to prove that, I'll try to access the app service using public internet. And it says server IP could not be found because it can only be accessed via private IP address. Now, I'm going to create a front door endpoint that will make the app publicly accessible securely and accelerated using CDN technology, all without exposing my app publicly. So here, to start, I will click Add Front Door. You can see here are multiple options, and I will select Quick Create and continue. The Quick Create option is new and dramatically simplifies the whole experience to do this. So I'm going to select the subscription and the resource group where my app service resides in, give it a profile name. And I'm going to select Premium because I want my app to be protected with advanced web application firewall rules and bot protections. Then give it a endpoint name. This is the URL I will use to access the app service. For origin type, I will select app service and select my app service. I will enable private link to make sure the secure connection from my AFD Azure Front Door endpoint to my app service. So as you can see, everything is pre-populated here to make sure the private connectivity from AFD endpoint to my app service. Then I'm going to enable caching to ensure my app loads fast and quick for users globally. And then I will enable WAF policy to help my apps protected against all WASP top 10 vulnerabilities and malicious bot attacks. Give it a name. And I wanted to have bot protection, so I select it and click Create. Click Review and Create. And create. This is going to take a few seconds. Deployment is in progress. It's going to take a few seconds. Okay, there. This is how simple the experience is. It's been, the AFD is up and running. And the final step is go to my app service and to approve the private connectivity from Azure Front Door to my app. Go to front networking, configure the private link here. We can see the pending request here and click it and approve it. Click approve it. This is going to take a few seconds. Okay, it's approved now. Now let's access the app via the Azure Front Door endpoint. I'm using a new tab here and input the Azure Front Door endpoint. As you can see, it is now working perfectly via the internet. And because we put an Azure Front Door in front of the app is now more secure and each request loads faster from anywhere with CDN technology. So in summary, what you have just seen is within a few clicks, I have used Azure Front Door to secure and accelerated my application. Now, let's get started today to have your app accelerated and secured using Azure Front Door. Thank you. And back to you, Anne.
We know that CDNs today have largely been about getting media closer to POPs, and they've had a limited role actually in security. But with the new Azure Front Door, as you just demonstrated, we've really integrated cutting edge security and CDN delivery in a way that enhances both performance and reliability, and of course, keeps latency very low.
That's right, Anne. And it's really important that I think as customers are embracing that zero trust model, how can they look at their applications and enable them to be protected, use that zero trust approach, manage the security, strengthen and make it easy for them to manage their encryption and have that optimal threat protection all running at the network edge, and really giving users no trade-off between user experience and security. We can really give customers both.
Well, thank you, Sinead. I know this is something that our friends at LinkedIn have already been using. They use it to secure app and content delivery. So today we are lucky to have John Sorensen, who is the Senior Manager for Site Reliability from LinkedIn, on a call right now. So let's chat for just a second with John. Thank you so much for joining us today, John.
Thanks. It's great to be here today, Anne.
So, John, can you tell me a little bit about your role at LinkedIn and what do you do there on a day-to-day basis?
Sure. LinkedIn is the world's largest professional network with over 772 million members. LinkedIn's vision is simple: create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. Here at LinkedIn, I head up our collection of Edge SRE teams. We're essentially responsible for the data as it leaves your device, as it makes its way into our data centers for processing and serving. This includes our DNS, CDN, and proxy infrastructure.
Oh, that's great, John. Now, talk about then, how that came to be, that why LinkedIn is using Azure Front Door, and what problems were you specifically trying to solve?
Sure. Traditionally, we ran our own global POP footprint with very high levels of security. Azure Front Door helps us expand that strong security posture, roughly 8x our footprint size, and offload all the work we normally would put into it onto Azure Front Door. In doing so, we're now in a much stronger position to connect our members with opportunities and communities so they can further their careers.
So, John, what results have you seen so far by using Azure Front Door?
We've been cutting costs a lot as we've been shutting down our global POP footprint, as well as saves on future costs we would have incurred expanding that into new markets. We've seen great performance gains of up to 25% speedups around the globe. That stat was actually our Android mobile page load time at 50th percentile. Lastly, Azure Front Door has also improved LinkedIn security and availability through strong peering relationships. dedicated private connectivity, and a very solid security infrastructure.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, John. That's really great information for all of our customers. We appreciate your sharing your experiences with Azure Front Door.
Thanks for having me here.
Now, Sinead, as we mentioned at the beginning, we were going to talk about two of our new services, one Azure Front Door, and then the new available Azure Firewall Premium. So let's talk now about Azure Firewall Premium offering, which will help customers with network threat protection in a much more powerful way.
Yeah, right. And yeah, as you know, the customers today, they use firewalls to protect their environment and to protect their apps. And it is a key control point as in those micro segments that I spoke about earlier. But you know, the attacks are relentless, and they continue to both grow in frequency and sophistication. And so it's really important that we take protection to another newer level so that we can enable customers to be more protected.
You know, Sinead, our customers tell us every day that they need more advanced systems in the cloud for intrusion, for detection, and for prevention. How does that relate to the Azure Firewall Premium offering?
Well, that's exactly what we are excited to announce today with the Azure Firewall Premium. It really is a huge step forward in advancing our threat capabilities. And so very, very excited to announce that this is it is cloud native service, just like Azure Firewall. It auto scales, it's all API driven, it completely integrates into Azure and and has central logging, and it completely seamlessly is part of your cloud infrastructure design. And the new service has these new advanced capabilities. And the very first one that it has is intrusion detection and a prevention system. And so it now so customers will be able to do that. Another key feature that it will have is it will enable customers to do SSL decryption or TLS inspection. And so that will give customers an ability to look deeper within the packet and block even more potential threats. With that, they can either put the firewall into detection mode, where you can raise alerts and they can investigate, or they can also block based on a set of signatures that are baked into the product. Another really important feature that the product has, it supports both web filtering and via URL categories. So customers can now set very simple rules like block all access to, say, a porn, or block all access to gambling. And so customers are able to easily construct very, very simple rules, all again API driven, that allow even more control over what traffic flows in their environment. I would like to now invite Eliran to give us a quick demo. So Eliran, over to you.
Thank you, Sinead. So I want to briefly go and demonstrate the new Firewall Premium capabilities. We can see here an example of a predefined firewall policy for our premium version. I want to show you a quick view on how to set up the system. We have here a new blade, we call it TLS inspection blade, where we can enable and disable the feature on a system level, as well as we can decide and configure which key vault hold the certificate, customer certificate, CA certificate that will be used by the firewall in order to complete and intercept the TLS-based traffic for the purpose of the TLS inspection capabilities. Once we completed the TLS inspection setup, we can go to application rules and actually set new rules that will utilize the new TLS inspection capabilities. For the rules that we are selecting, the TLS inspection, this is a selection box. The system will actually do the full decryption and encryption. We have two new type of destination addresses in the rules. One is URL, where we can have a full or partial URL with wildcards, as well as web categories, where we can have the exact categories that we want to allow or deny. The second part is the IDPS, where we are allowing to set the mode of the intrusion detection and the prevention system to either disable or alert. And we have also an alert and deny mode where we are not only logging the suspicious traffic, but also blocking it and preventing it from reaching its original destination. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Eliran. It's so exciting that our customers can have a stronger, more intelligent firewall that is built for modern threat campaigns in the cloud.
Yes, and I just want to remind everyone that Azure Firewall Premium is now in public preview. So I encourage you all to go check it out.
Thank you so much, Sinead. And thank you to everyone who joined us today. And I'm going to echo what Sinead said. Our engineering teams do take our customer feedback seriously, which is why we can introduce such compelling solutions that actually meet the problems that you're articulating to us on a daily basis. So it was great to be able to talk to you about Azure Front Door and the Azure Firewall Premium offering that are now in public preview. We know that the global pandemic has created this impetus for all of us in cybersecurity to rethink and to reimagine network security moving forward as we move more applications are delivered via the cloud. And as remote work is becoming the new normal for our customers, even post-pandemic, we're hearing our customers tell us they're going to have a significant portion of their employees working at home. Now is the time that you must adopt a zero trust approach to network security as well as identity. Doing so not only helps safeguard organizations from malicious attacks, but it also enables productive remote work and secure remote work. It improves application performance and it'll improve your overall user experience. Thank you so much for joining us today and have a great day.